You said bell peppers and beef.
His name's Asimov Solensen. Are you listening to me?
There's no beef in here. So you wouldn't really call it bell peppers and beef now, would you?
Yes, I would.
Well, it's not!
It is when you're broke.
All right, so we did it, man. We sat down and watched a 4-hour movie. And it's funny because I said, and to anybody who's listening, like, you're going to obviously know from the title, we're reviewing the Justice League Snyder Cut, all 4 hours of it. It was something. It was a journey.
Most definitely.
It was a Zack Snyder movie through and through. But we have a lot of opinions about it. And there's a lot of positives from the movie. There's glaring issues with the movie. Like, I mean, no movie's perfect. But I will say this. I was pleasantly surprised with the movie. And overall, to anybody who's listening, this is going to be a positive review of the movie. And you know me. I have a history of disparaging anything that Zack Snyder does outside of Watchmen and 300. I'm just not the biggest fan. Never been. And all his strengths and weaknesses were on full display in this movie. But not only do we want to just talk about just, you know, and I got Rod in the building, if you didn't notice. We want to talk about just everything involved with the movie, how the movie came about, the aftermath of what happens after the movie now, because things have changed. Things have completely changed because of the pandemic and streaming and all that stuff and the streaming wars. There's so many things that influence the existence of this becoming available to people like us, right? But we'll get to that. Let's start with just reviewing the movie itself. So I want to get to the negatives of the movie, right? And they're fair negatives.
Ezra Miller.
Go ahead and cook, bro. Go ahead and cook.
Nah, I mean, while we were watching the movie, and we're gonna get into the positives, so I won't spoil that. But if there's one thing that could not be upgraded, if there's one thing that could not be salvaged from the previous movie, it's the Flash. I just wasn't a fan of Ezra Miller's performance in the movie, bro. That's just me personally. He was just like a bad Wally West. He wasn't even Barry. But that's just the comic book fan in me. And then, of course, another thing, the epilogue. I don't know about, I mean, me and you were both like just shaking our heads watching the epilogue.
Yeah, the epilogue to me, bro, is like, I've been watching a bunch of reviews on it, and there's a lot of people who seem to enjoy the epilogue. And I don't, because one, we've already seen it. Cool, you flesh it out, whatever. We already seen it. Two, the movie felt resolved. Like, the movie didn't leave on a cliffhanger to lead to that. That's why I felt it was real shoehorned. So that's probably my main gripe. You feel me? I have my issues with Ezra Miller as well and Barry Allen, and it's not as much as you. It's not to the level of that your visceral is, but it's right there. It's right there.
It's close, right?
I will say this though. I did not need to see. I'll say this. As much as I was annoyed by him in this movie, and he still had a purpose. So I would thoroughly hate the Justice League, the Joss Whedon version of him, bro.
And he was. I mean, you could say that about many of the characters, though. I mean, that's one thing this movie did was it fleshed out and gave purpose to characters who just were lost in the last one. And to your point, Ezra, the Flash served his purpose.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean? I mean, he served his role. He was supposed to be, you know, every superhero group has its trope, right? You have the serious nigga, Batman. You have the cool looking nigga, Aquaman. You have, you know, the heroine, Wonder Woman. You know what I'm saying? In modern day age, you have the black guy, Cyborg. So, you know.
Yeah, it checked all the boxes.
They try to check all the boxes these days. So
all the boxes.
Ezra did his part, and he played his part, but just in terms of my enjoyment of viewership, especially in terms of how other characters and the story in general was just better paced and just how other people progressed a lot better. You know, Ezra Miller's Flash left a lot to be desired.
All right, so for me, my main, like I said, my main gripe, my biggest issue with the movie is the movie was clearly 30 minutes too long. If that movie was 3:20, 3.5, I would legitimately say it was a perfect comic book movie. Not a perfect movie, objectively, but how we judge a comic book movie, like watching a comic book come to life. The shit that Zack Snyder fans swear Batman versus Superman was, bro.
Oh, God.
Because that's what they say. It's a great comic book movie because I feel like I'm watching a comic book movie. I get what you're saying, but it's everything that he was trying to do with Batman versus Superman, but the execution was far better.
Far better.
And anybody who's listening, like, they'll be like, oh, but did you watch the extended cut of Batman versus Superman? Yeah, the extra 30 minutes helps. It was still a bad movie.
Right.
Like,
it was still a joyless film. And at the end of the day, no matter how serious or not serious a comic book movie is, the ultimate goal is the value of how much you enjoy it. Right? Like, The Dark Knight is a serious movie, but we enjoy it because it's a good movie. Like, listen, I'm not going to bash anybody's taste. If Batman v Superman is your jive, cool. Just stop trying to convince me it's a masterpiece.
Exactly.
That's all. Like, the people who just like, oh, you just didn't understand it. Fuck you. Like, didn't understand what? Martha. How do you know that name? I didn't understand. Come on, get the fuck out of here.
All right, so yeah, that's where I'm at, and that's what I'm always going to be with Batman versus Superman, right? And the problem I had with Batman versus Superman was in this movie as well, because the two biggest problems, and you're just going to have to understand that you're going to get this with any Zack Snyder movie. You're going to get surface level complexity because he thinks he's way deeper than he is. And you're going to get over self-indulgence. Like, he can't help himself. He has to give you more.
He really, and in this one, he really took advantage of that. Like, he took advantage of it, bro.
He has to give you more. All right, so those are some of the negatives, because at the end of the day, like, overall, I don't even want to complain about the movie. Like, I don't want to go out of my way to pick the movie apart because there's really no reason to, right? Like, so now I want to get into everything that I actually thoroughly enjoyed. And this is, watching the movie, it already reassured everything I wanted, everything I knew going into it, right? Say what you want about Zack Snyder, the director, the auteur, whatever, right? There's something that you cannot take away from that man. He is a savant when it comes to visual action. Like, he legitimately has a gift.
Those fight scenes were really fucking awesome.
Yes. The scope of it, the feel of it, it felt epic. Like, I've seen a lot of people say it was epic. And I'm just like, what the fuck does epic mean, right? But then when you actually see something epic, you're like, oh, because there's no other word that you could use to describe what you're watching besides that word.
Dude, when I seen Steppenwolf fucking grab that horse and hit one of the Amazonians, I was like, oh shit, man, this nigga's being a savage right now.
And that's what it was supposed to be. Like I see some reviews that were saying there's not enough levity to the movie, like a lot of love, like just let it breathe and you feel like a sense of happiness or calmness or whatever, right? But my rebuttal to that is, you have a dude that's trying to take over the entire universe, bro. Like, this is a very serious issue going on right now, bro. Like,
right. It's true. It's true.
Like, I would want my people not to be trying to feel, and this is where Josh Whedon really missed the boat. Like, he got trained on the MCU version of how to do things, right?
Right. MCU has their own formula.
Yep. Right? And you could do that. The problem is the dude who started this before you was not going in that direction in any way. You just roll with it, bro. Don't do what you know how to do, bro.
Right.
But again, right? And we'll get into that because clearly the studio had so much to do with this, right? So we'll save that. But back to the actual movie itself, right? So the things I like, visual style, incredible. Even though it was 4 hours, I could say there was probably 2 or 3 times where it felt like 4 hours. Like, I felt like it was dragging on. The rest of the time, the pacing was incredible to say for a 4-hour movie, right? I I didn't really see myself looking at my phone that much for a 4-hour movie, right?
Bro, I looked at my phone one time.
Yeah.
Once. I remember. I specifically one time, I forget during which part, but it was towards, after 3 hours.
No, of course, right?
You know?
Like, somebody might be dying,
You gotta check, in case of SOS text,
So yeah, the pacing was surprisingly good. Like if somebody said they wanted to watch it again, I could do that. I could honestly say I could watch that movie again, knowing it's 4 hours, right? And to me, that's the most important thing about the movie that shows that how well done it was. Because there was a lot of scenes that could have been cut out, obviously, but whatever. That's just nitpicking. For the most part, every scene that I seen felt like it mattered.
It moved the story forward.
Every single scene, right? And I'm happy because, and this is where this is a great podcast because I am coming on this podcast as somebody who didn't watch the 2017 Joss Whedon version. You are coming from a perspective of somebody who did watch it. I have a blank canvas. All I could do is judge that movie. A movie that I had no intention of watching if we weren't doing this podcast, bro.
Right.
I said, fuck it, let's do it for content. I seen enough positive reviews from people that I trusted that was like, there's no way this movie's good. And then I went into it like believing it and actively rooting for it to be bad to reinforce everything I know about Zack Snyder as a director. But when something's executed well and when you could see true passion was put into this, how could I be mad at it?
Like, I mean, he dedicated it to his daughter too.
Yeah.
Who died. So
for sure.
I think it was suicide too.
Yeah, she was committed suicide. That's where he left for the first time. And you could tell like this dude was passionate about it. Whether you want the movie, even if the movie was bad, there's no way I could come away from it saying that dude didn't give a fuck about what he put out.
No, it's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And to me, he is everything. He's the same person as Michael Bay, but the antithesis of it. Michael Bay doesn't care. He stopped caring, bro. He just puts out whatever, right?
Yeah, he really doesn't give a fuck.
You feel me?
Yeah.
They're two coins. They're two sides of the same coin, but one is somebody who never lost his passion for movie making. The other guy, who's excellent at action, just doesn't care, bro.
At all.
If you're going to throw money at him and you just want a bad product, bro, he's going to give you a bad product, bro.
Easily flying colors.
So yeah, visual style, the pacing, even though it was long, the cinematography was incredible, beautiful. I was surprised how much the palette fit this movie much more than it fit Batman versus Superman, right? And I understand that. It's the same director. It's supposed to be a shared thing, but it felt more natural in this sense, right? Because of the locations that he picked, like all the way in Scandinavia with Aquaman and shit in dark areas versus Gotham City. Gotham City is supposed to be dark and stuff like that, but there's still some type of nightlife to this, bro. Like, right. You feel me?
It's just not all doom and gloom.
It's not all doom and gloom, especially during the character parts where you're at an expensive party, bro. Like, why does it feel like nobody wants to fucking be there, bro?
Right.
You feel me? And I think that's the weakness. There's a lot of weaknesses that I felt were fixed in this movie. Now, I don't know if that was because he learned or because of the nature of the movie itself. It just lends itself to that style and it works way better, right? And we're not gonna know. Hopefully he gets to make another movie, because I said it on Facebook and I never thought I'd say this, bro. If he doesn't do the sequel, why would I watch it, bro?
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
Why would I watch it? Seeing how he handled Steppenwolf, seeing how he handled Cyborg. No, not even. I'm talking about the villains.
No, villains.
Seeing how he handled Darkseid, seeing how he handled the Parademons, seeing how he handled all that stuff. I don't want nobody else to do it. Like, I got 10, maybe 5 minutes with Darkseid, bro, and I was captivated every sentence, bro. Like every single scene that he was on, bro. I don't want nobody else to handle that. Because there's one thing about Zack Snyder that really was apparent. He knows how to make a fucking comic book alive. He brings it alive. That bullshit Batman vs. No, you don't get to say that, all right? You don't get to say that for that, all right? You get to say it because it is a comic book movie, just a fucking boring comic book, bro. That's what it was. This was an engaging comic book. This was something that makes you feel like, oh my God. I literally said that. I was like, oh, so this is what like a real life Justice League Unlimited episode would feel like, bro.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt, bro.
No, Herb, I 100% agree with you. Before we even thought about, like, I was thoroughly against watching this movie. As a matter of fact, much like you, Herb, I came into it like wanting to hate it because, you know, unlike you, I actually went and spent my money to watch the previous Justice League. You know, me and a couple of my siblings, we went. And obviously we didn't enjoy it. It was, you know, everything was off about it. And a lot of the mistakes that were made with the previous one, and it's not all on him, obviously, you know, Joss Whedon got involved and then the studio got involved. You know, it was just a debacle behind the scenes. But watching this version of the movie, I had to tip my cap to him, bro, because I sat through 4 hours of this shit and enjoyed it. You know what I mean? And you know, one thing I gotta say is that this time around, like the first time around when I watched the theatrical version, I did not give a fuck about any of the characters, bro. I didn't give a fuck about Batman. I didn't give a fuck about Diana. I didn't give a fuck about Aquaman. Cyborg was he was brooding like Bruce Wayne until it was time for him to do stuff.
And sorry to cut you off because this is a perfect point to actually get into the differences, right? So like I said, I have a blank canvas. I don't know how the characterization of all these characters were butchered. So go ahead and just give your perspective and you can highlight the differences between both movies.
Well, for starters, majority of the cast in the Snyder Cut is just, I mean, granted it's a 4-hour movie, but they're much more fleshed out. In the theatrical cut, we didn't get much of Cyborg's backstory. As a matter of fact, a lot of the good stuff that we got from Cyborg in the Snyder Cut, we really didn't get it in the theatrical cut. And I can understand why Ray Fisher was so upset because it's just like kind of like Jared Leto and his shit being cut out of the Suicide Squad.
Right.
Steppenwolf, another one. I mean, Steppenwolf was in the theatrical cut. He was generic movie villain number 32587, bro. Like he was about as generic as they come. You didn't really understand fully his motivations. The fights, the way they cut those fight scenes, you know, we got a lot of the extended fight scenes. We got to see more of him in action, and he was a lot more menacing this time. One, they changed the armor. The armor he had in the theatrical cut was like, when you compare it to the armor in the Snyder Cut, it's not even close.
And this is what I want to say about that, because this goes back to Zach's, just his gift for visual style. Like the Joss Whedon Steppenwolf was just generic and everywhere. The armor, everything, right? I've never seen a villain look like that. You feel me? Just his armor and how his armor actually does things, right? Could grab onto you. He could take something on and throw it at you. Like he's always thinking of like what would be cool. You feel me? Like he has a true imagination when it comes to this shit. But go on, bro.
No, he absolutely does. And like you said, that shifting chainmail armor that Steppenwolf had, I mean, that's just creativity gold, you know? And to Steppenwolf, the character, this time around, he actually he was a villain, bro. Like he was able, because at the end of the day, what helps make a great superhero movie or even a good superhero movie is a villain. You need, like, if the villain can't carry it, then you might as well just throw it in the trash. And in the theatrical cut, he was just there was no human being alive that could tell me that they liked Steppenwolf in the original, bro. He was so wooden. We didn't know any of his motivations. We didn't know who the hell he was talking to. We got to see it this time. That time around, we didn't. And they fleshed out more of his background. We find out that he crossed Darkseid in the past, so he's trying to get back in his favor. Like, those little tidbits help you understand a character's motivations and make his actions make more sense. You know what I mean? Same with Cyborg's actions. Like he's just not, Cyborg in this movie isn't just randomly popping up with the mother bucks like, hey guys, I have it here. We see the progression. We see his father use it to revive him. We see that his technology is connected to it. And I mean, dude, and I gotta say, he did a great job with the Easter eggs too. I mean, we got to see a Green Lantern. They added in the Martian Manhunter. We got a few scenes with him, which you know they're alluding he's gonna be in future movies. We got to see the old gods, bro. We got to see Zeus and Ares, bro. Go to war, like you said, bro. It was really like watching an episode of fucking Justice League, the cartoon, and that's all I ever wanted, Herb. I'm a DC fan. I go way back. I mean, I've read tons of comics, grew up on the cartoon shows. I mean, you name it, Batman animated series, Superman, Batman Beyond, Teen Titans, Justice League, you name it. And watching this film, the way the characters were portrayed, and Diana this time, I wanted to say, I really loved Wonder Woman in this movie, bro. She was fucking badass, dog. Like, she really was.
She was badass, and to me, right, the biggest thing I got, and it's starting, and we could like elaborate on this a little bit more, like towards the end, is I never felt like anything was shoehorned, like, as far as hitting all the check boxes, right? Oh, the females got to be strong. Oh, the black guy got some, like, everything felt natural. You feel me? Like, it wasn't like that god awful scene in Endgame when all the girls had that, all the female characters had that little, what's it called? People don't even fucking know each other, bro.
Right. Yeah, they're having the massive girl power scene.
Girl power scene, bro. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But earn it. Like, what's wrong with earning it, bro?
Right.
Like, you feel me? Or in The Rise of Skywalker, where they had a lesbian kiss scene for 2 seconds. And Disney is so fucking spineless that in China, they cut that scene out.
Right.
Right? But they threw it in there, and they just threw it in there. Like, everything, every person felt real. Every decision felt like that's what that person would do.
Yeah, absolutely.
You feel me? Nothing felt forced. Everything felt, the continuity was there. Right? And that's something that I got away from, because it's like, there's such pressure on directors and producers to hit all of those things. You feel me? Because they're worried about not hitting those things. They're worried about columns about how there isn't enough representation, how there isn't enough things that speak to this. And this dude just got to make the movie that he wanted to fucking make. And it lets me know that that's the reason why I like older movies, bro, because that wasn't in there. Right?
It's true. Nowadays, it's almost like you got to make movies with quotas, right? Like a movie, you got to have the black guy, you got to have the Asian now, you got to have, the LGBTQ character. Which, look, I have no problem with that.
No problem with that.
You know what I mean?
But be talented. Do it because you actually care.
Right.
Because if you're just throwing them in, you could tell when somebody's just throwing in to meet a quota.
Yep.
You feel me? And it hurts the movie, right? Like, some of the best comic book movies that recently, right? Where's the quota in Dark Knight? Who's the quota?
Right. That didn't even matter to you.
Where's the quota in Infinity War, bro? Where's the quota in
Civil War?
Civil War, right?
For real.
Like, maybe Black Widow, cool, but she already exists. And I never watched Black Widow and be like, except for that part where Scarlet Witch and Vision couldn't beat the fucking people from Thanos' crew. And then fucking
the children of Thanos.
Yeah, the children of man. And then you got Black Widow over here karate kicking bitches through fucking walls and shit. I'm like, all right, hold on now.
Yeah, hold on.
Come on now.
You shouldn't be doing that.
Let's come on now. Let's be real. All right.
Fair.
Like, come on. But for the most part, I just felt like there was no decision that was like, yeah, you have to do this because we need this, that, and the third, bro. It was refreshing, is what I want to get to. But go on, bro.
No. And you know what, Herb? That's the perfect word. It was refreshing. And this is something I want to say too, is part of what got DC jammed up the first time is they keep trying to copy this Marvel formula. But there's something to be said about having your own authenticity. And that's what we got in the Snyder Cut. We got his authentic take on these characters. And what do we get? A really good ass fucking movie. For me to sit through 4 hours, for us to sit through 4 hours of this movie and then at the end just be like, yeah, it was worth it. Like, that means something, especially to me, considering I never plan on watching this movie ever again. Like the Justice League period, like after watching it in theaters, I never watched it. So, to do a fair comparison, I might have to rewatch it and, to go side by side, but fuck that. I'm not going to do that. I don't need to because I have the better version now. You know what I mean? I don't have to go back and watch the fucking Joss Whedon cut. You know what I mean? But all in all, I mean, when it came to the pacing, when it came to the character development, and one thing I got to say too, is that Superman, like the Superman plot line was expanded on too. Like Lois in the theatrical cut, I can't remember a fucking scene of her, bro. I remember her scenes in this movie Why? Because Superman's death actually meant something. You didn't really feel Superman's death in the theatrical version. This movie starts with Superman's scream echoing throughout the world. And then we get, then we see the house going down. Martha can't even hold on to the house. We see her talking to Lois, and we find out that's Martian Manhunter. Like, just every single aspect of the theatrical cut was just fleshed out, and that made it just a far better movie, far better experience.
Okay, so speaking of Lois, right? There's no saving that character, bro. Like, that man has no idea what to do with Amy Adams in that role, bro. Like that's not Lois Lane, like, at all. Like, and I get it, like, you need Lois Lane because in his idea, and it goes back to Batman versus Superman where they had the scene, which is the biggest thing that I alluded to earlier, is the biggest thing that this movie did is everything in Batman versus Superman, his thought process. This actually goes to Man of Steel. Like, he had this fleshed out. This was all supposed to lead up to the Justice League. How do you say it? Apocalypse?
Apocalypse?
Oh, well, it is Apocalypse.
It's spelled crazy. Yeah, Apocalypse.
Yeah, everything from Man versus Steel was supposed to lead the Justice League Apocalypse. Like, and seeing this movie, I was like, oh, this nigga really had a fucking 10-year plan, bro.
Yeah, he did.
I just never gave him credit enough to think that far ahead.
Right.
Because Man versus Steel set up the God complex of Superman. It was painfully obvious, bro. Like, the Jesus complex, right?
Right.
Batman versus Superman created the natural fear of him. That was the purpose of Batman versus Superman. This movie was supposed to show you that Batman wasn't wrong, because it's actually going to lead up to everything that he was afraid of. All the dream sequences, the part with the Flash running in to let him know and saying it's Lois. Lois is the key.
Right.
You feel me? All of this is all going all the way back to Man vs. Steel, which came out 8 years ago. And I have to give him that much credit. Like, he really had an idea. And WB fucked it up, bro.
Royally. Like, how did they fuck up that bag, bro?
Okay, so let's talk about that, right? Man vs. Steel comes out, doesn't even make $1 billion, right? Like, where it's, you just make $1 billion. If you have a superhero, you make $1 billion, right? I think it made like,
especially a big name like that.
That's the problem. So I think it made like 600 million, like 6-7 or whatever, right? It was a disappointment. Batman versus Superman comes out, crosses $1 billion, but doesn't make nearly enough. It actually lost money, even though it made $1 billion. So I understand where WB was coming from. However, it speaks to two problems. One, studio interference, because the money's not coming back on the investment. Two, Zack Snyder is at fault because he needs 3 hours at least to make a good movie.
He does, man.
Like, and at the end of the day, bro, like, there's time constraints for a reason. Movies are 2 hours, 2.5 hours for a reason. You have to keep filling up those slots. If you need 4 hours, bro, that's 2 slots at the movie theaters when everything was based off of movie theater, movie revenue, right? So I can't blame these people saying, hey, bro, you got to get this down to 2.5 hours, bro. 240. Like,
yo, they seen that runtime. I bet that runtime was like 450. They was like, come on, Zach, really? We're gonna have 2 showings a fucking day.
Yeah,
this.
That's what exactly, right? And I'm speaking in regards to Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel, right? That's his problem. His problem is he needs so long to tell a story that everybody already knows, bro.
Right.
Like, what is the setup? I know who Clark Kent is. I know where he's from. I know who Kal-El is. That's what they call it. Like, I know these people. Like, we don't need that much exposition. We don't need that much scenery, bro, with these people. Like, we get it.
Bro, it goes back to what we always say about him, man. I mean, for as talented a director as he is extremely self-indulgent.
He's self-indulgent, right? So, and to anybody who's listening, right, it's not us going on a tangent. This is explaining how it got to this point. Details. And that's a critical part of it. You can blame WB all you want, but at the end of the day, there's an onus on him to be better or more judicious with his storytelling.
Right.
Right? You feel me? If you can't tell a story in 2.5 hours, in 2:40, Batman versus Superman was almost 2 hours and 50 minutes, and he still needed an extra minute from the extended cut to make it make sense.
That's dirty, bro.
Like,
it's crazy, bro.
Crazy. Because he needs to fit so many different things in, right? So get to here. This is on streaming platforms. And the only reason why it's even on streaming platforms is because HBO Max and WB needs something to drive people to get to HBO Max. When they said there was a Snyder Cut, I didn't believe that shit. I thought it was cap. But what made me have a pause for cause is when all the actors were saying release a Snyder Cut. That's when I was like, oh, it might be good. Because they were diligent behind it. Like,
well, I mean, dude, you gotta remember too. After Justice League came out, they were getting hammered
for sure because they knew there was a much better product. But there's no way that product would have been that much better than the other theatrical cut. You can't make that movie 4 hours. You can't make that movie 2.5 hours. It's impossible. It would still be bad.
Yeah. And I mean, it explains to, like, honestly, watching the Snyder Cut gave me more clarity on the theatrical cut. Despite the fact that obviously there was studio interference, even without the studio interference, this movie, the Snyder Cut Justice League, is great because it's a 4-hour spectacle.
Yes.
And that's why it's a 4-hour spectacle. You can't make a 4-hour spectacle 2.5. You're literally cutting out 33% of the story.
And this is where I'm going to be fair to Zach. I will crucify him for needing that much time for Man vs. Steel. I would really crucify him because there's not enough meat on the bones for Batman. I understand Man vs. Steel for the setup, right? Because you're introducing all these people. There's no fucking reason that he needed that much time to still tell that story with fucking Batman versus Superman, right?
Right.
This movie, however, they dealt him a bad hand. They dealt him a shitty hand because they were so desperate to catch up. It's like, why? Why were y'all so desperate to catch up? Like, the MCU wasn't going to be here forever. They were eventually going to get to the end game and the climax. There was going to be a drop off. Like, if you guys just were patient, bro, you could be where they're at now.
Patient and staying true to. If there's anything I can say about some of these more recent modern DC movies, when they stay true to themselves, they do just fine. Like trying to copy the Marvel formula, like Aquaman stayed true to itself. It turns out that he kind of fit the Marvel mode a little piece, but Aquaman stayed true to itself. The first Wonder Woman stayed true to itself. The Joker movie, I mean, granted, it's kind of like an Elseworld story. It stayed true to itself. Like if DC would just have more faith in the direction that their directors want to go and the stories they want to tell, and not try to shoehorn Marvel humor or shoehorn Marvel tropes. Like, yeah, they have their formula and it's been successful and they've made it work. And when you watch a Marvel movie, you know it's a Marvel movie.
Bro, it speaks to the arrogance and it just speaks to the lack of self-awareness. You want to know why Marvel works? Because they have Kevin Feige. Like, he has an understanding of what works for those characters, right? It speaks to the arrogance and lack of self-awareness that people think, oh, just throw fucking witty humor. That's what people like. No, bro.
Exactly.
The people who are doing it know how to do it. Know when to throw it. Know when to introduce it. You're not hiring those same people, bro. Yeah, you did it with freaking, what's his name? The guy who directed Guardians of the Galaxy. Because he's the one that's directing the new Suicide Squad movie. What's his freaking name? James
Gunn.
James Gunn. Yeah, you got James Gunn, right? He might be able to make something because that's in his ballpark. Those characters, that interpretation, like they got John Cena, bro. It's gonna be wacky, right. But he knows how to do it well. You feel me? Like these niggas are looking at data points and freaking sheets and all this nonsense, bro. And the way they kick themselves in their own ass has just it's been so beautiful to watch because no company deserves it more, bro. No company deserves it more, dog. And the problem is though, the byproduct is that all our favorite superheroes get shot the fuck up in the process of them being dumb. Like, what are we on, our third iteration of fucking Batman in 10 years?
Bro, it's and like I'm a huge Batman guy, but like the DC universe has so much more to offer, bro. And it just seems like they just have not understood what to do with it, bro. Like honestly, like, you know, Marvel at the end of the day, they definitely had a plan since day one, and they weren't worried about competing. They were just worried about setting up their universe, setting up their story. Like if you like, not all the Marvel movies, the first I guess 3 phases or first 4 phases are done. You could see the progression. Like this was all leading up to Cap's, and this was all leading up to the way Tony, and like this all had a natural progression through time. Whereas DC was just trying to, like, they were just trying to spit out these movies so fast and thinking, okay, well, Marvel did it like this, we could do it like this. It's just like, no, like, give yourself some breathing room. Give your writers their own don't fucking force them to be like the Marvel writers. Allow them to use their own creativity with these characters, because DC characters are different from Marvel characters. As if you're a comic book fan, you know, like Marvel and DC have their own vibes, bro. And DC's vibe could never be like Marvel's. It doesn't have to be as super serious or, you know, as, you know, like it doesn't have to be Snyder style per se, but I mean, I don't know, the way they've gone about it, and then just the things you read about, like just the chaos on set, and you know, Ray Fisher has gone repeatedly on social media, on the internet, talking about how Joss Whedon treated the cast terribly, and dude, it's crazy.
And the way they should have done it, and it's obviously hindsight is 2020, right? But they would never admit it, is they should have had a different director set up everything, right? Because the problem is because Zack Snyder has a specific style. And this is where they went wrong. His style works with Watchmen, something that you don't really need to believe in, something that's open and ended, right? They got the right guy, but they chose the wrong movie. He should have only been in charge of this movie and Justice League Apocalypse, right? Now, it's fair to say, how do you have somebody set it up and this, that, and the third? Well, easy. Endgame and Infinity War, the 2 most important movies in the entire MCU, it wasn't directed by the guy who directed fucking Captain Marvel. It wasn't directed by the person, Ryan Coogler, who did Black Panther. It wasn't directed by Jon Favreau, who started everything with Iron Man. They said, you guys are perfect for that.
You're perfect for the exclamation point.
You feel me? And they showed that they were good for that. Big, fitting a whole bunch of different characters because of Captain America Civil War. You feel me? They did that one. So they were the rightful people to do the big ensemble. He should have, even if the tone was different, it would have been just drastically different. It would have made more sense. You get the lighthearted Aquaman, right? You get the semi-colorful or whatever with Wonder Woman, I should say. You get a lighthearted, in-between version of Superman. And then you let everything build up to a darker tone. And then you let Zack Snyder come in and then boom, hit it out the park.
Yeah.
You feel me? Natural progression.
Catering to the strengths of the people you hire. You know, I mean, but to be honest though, like, what were they thinking, bro? Like, as a movie watcher, like, I've enjoyed plenty of Zack Snyder's movies, as I have not enjoyed some of his other movies. But I would never think like, oh, that's the guy I want to spearhead my universe.
But here's the thing, though. I think that his plan was incredible. Like, because I said it, bro. I remember when they said that he's going to be the one that's in charge of the DECU, the DCEU, the expanded universe. I said, Zack Snyder? Zack Snyder is a very, he is an acquired taste. So that's where they went wrong. Like, he doesn't make movies for the masses. He makes movies for people who likes his movies.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair to say.
You feel me? So that's why he's so divisive. And that's where he killed Superman on arrival. People didn't want that. But people didn't know what he was trying to do. I'm somebody who could say that freely. I didn't understand what he was trying to do. That doesn't mean that he executed. The first 2 movies were not good movies. People still say that Man of Steel gets better on. I never want to watch it again, bro. There's nothing that I could take from it that I'm like, okay. Like
Man of Steel to me got worse as I watched it. Like, you know what it was? Like when I initially watched it, it was like after years, I finally got to see Superman fight on the big screen. Because the last big Superman movie we got was Superman Returns, which even though it was a good, heartfelt story, it's, come on, Superman. It's 2000s. We have Spider-Man and X-Men movies. Like, give us some fight scenes. So the first time I watched Man of Steel in theaters, it was the gravity of seeing Superman fighting and fighting other Kryptonians, like watching Dragon Ball on screen. I was like, oh yeah, I fuck with it. Then I watched it again. And I was just like, outside of the fight scenes, I didn't really care about this movie that much.
Bro, listen, that's just how I feel about the movie in general. So,
Yeah.
and that's where they made the mistake. And now they're at this point because now WB is fucked. Like, what do? You have to have, if you're going to make a sequel, it has to be Zack.
No, it has to. Look, for sure, it has to be.
Because you can't, like, his style is so unique that it would be so jarring. Like, you can't have somebody with his talent unless you could find somebody, and nobody trusts any of those fucking gooks to find somebody with his level of talent to pull it off in his vein so it doesn't feel so drastically different, right? But what did they do? Like, Ben Affleck said he's done with this shit. Zack said he's done with it. Aquaman, obviously. Jason Momoa is still going to be there. Gal Gadot's still going to be there. Ezra hasn't even got his fucking movie yet.
Right. He's still waiting on his shit.
It's such a clusterfuck.
It's a discombobulated mess.
It's a fucking mess.
And they did it to themselves. And you know what? Honestly, the Snyder Cut being good is just the perfect fuck you.
It's the perfect fuck you because now they're really like they're really the people on, like, I know the people in charge sort of wanted it to be successful, but they understood, or I don't think they really understood that if it's this successful, what does that mean? Like, you have a Robert Pattinson Batman movie coming out next year. That has nothing to do with the Batman I just watched, bro.
Nothing to do.
Nothing to do with it. Not the same actor, not even in the same fucking universe.
Right. It's not even like they're saying like, oh, this is Ben Affleck's Batman like 18 years ago. Nah.
Bro.
Nah. Crazy.
Bro. What is this, dog? Like, they're desperate. And it's like, bro, you have all the characters in the world and you can't get out of your boner for fucking Bruce Wayne?
But Herb, on the other side of the coin, look at what they've done when they've tried. Look at what they did to Green Lantern, bro. They're afraid to even go back down that route. That movie lost them so much money. It was so bad.
I told you, bro, and I'll say this again, bro. Green Lantern is the first movie that let me know that a movie could break your heart, bro. And I haven't given a movie my heart since, bro. Because I would never let another movie break my heart the way that Green Lantern did, bro. Man. The way I hyped up Green Lantern, the way I dragged you motherfuckers, because I remember it came out when we were in college, right?
Yeah, like early, yeah.
Early. Freshman year. I dragged y'all to go watch this movie. I promise y'all it was going to blow everybody away. Like, I was fighting with people on Twitter who were mad that it was Hal Jordan instead of Jon Stewart because nobody knew that Hal Jordan even exists. I was like, you don't even know, bruh. You don't know about Hal Jordan, bruh. This shit finna be raw, man.
The OG Green Lantern.
Like, what are you talking about, bruh? And it was one of the worst experiences of my entire life. I've never been more hurt, bro. Like, I'll never forget. Like, I saw you look over at me, and you saw the sadness on my face, bro. And you told me that, dog. He was like, Herb, you just look sad the whole movie. Like, to see that on the big screen, bro, it was just such a heartache, bro.
Nah, I mean, and you know, and that's the issue that we've had with DC up until this point, right? Like, what's their track record? I haven't watched Shazam. I've heard mixed reviews about it. Some people say Shazam's good, some people didn't like it. It was the same with Aquaman. Wonder Woman, mostly I heard positive things about it.
And then they fucked it up with 84.
And then 84.
Bro, this is how bad Wonder Woman 84 has to be. Like, I'm not going to watch it, right? I'm not going to go out of my way to watch a bad movie just because it's a comic book movie. I don't operate like that, bro.
Right.
It's so bad that even the shill publications, like the people who just shill for like because there's a woman involved. You feel me? Even they couldn't even be honest with like, you know how when you think something bad, but it hurts you to admit that it's bad, so you go out of your way to not be like glowing with your review.
Right, you maneuver around.
Yeah, you maneuver it as opposed to just being honest like this shit is trash. Even they were doing that. That's when I knew it had to be awful, bro. Because it was like most comic book movies are divisive. That movie is 100% in unity, and everybody thinks it's bad, bro.
Right, like when it first came out, there was some people saying like, "Oh, you don't like it," and then it was just like the more and more people watched it, the more and more they realized.
Bro,
like,
women said it was bad.
Exactly,
like,
that's all.
That's all I knew.
That's all I needed.
I was like, oh yeah, this movie's terrible. You feel me? So yeah, bro. So they like it's impossible for them to get this shit right, bro. But they're still gonna keep cranking them out. They're gonna keep cranking them out because at the end of the day, they make money. You feel me? And now where everything's going on streaming, people are going to watch, bruh. And that's where we're at. And it's crazy because there was a time where comic book movies were not profitable. Now it's the only thing that gets fucking made right now, bro.
Dude, I know. It's kind of like when you see a non-comic book movie that gets like any kind of nice buzz, it's kind of surprising because now it's all about the big blockbuster superheroes. It's like it's the big thing in pop culture now. I guess we can thank Marvel for that. You know?
All right, so where do we go from? Like, where do they go from here? Like, in regards to WB, like, what do they do? Where do they take it now?
I mean, well, if Zack Snyder doesn't want to do it, like, it's crazy because the Snyder Cut, as much as I'm not like a big fan of the epilogue because it's really just a bunch of like scenes they put together that they didn't have a chance to before, but they did it cohesively enough to where it makes sense. And he was setting up that Injustice storyline. You know what I mean? So, I don't like you said, Herb, if it's not Zack Snyder, like, who do you trust to take on that task if that's the route they go? Like, what do they do? Because they're not going to go off of the theatrical cut now because the Snyder Cut's getting glowing reviews like a motherfucker. And they're going to pay attention to that. And I'm sure the streaming numbers are going to do awesome. Actually, I'm wondering, is this it? Is this the future of movies now? Can we say bye-bye to the movie theaters?
I mean, okay, so let's actually have that conversation. That's a good conversation to just go off on its own tangent, right? I'm about movies, bro. I'm about the movie theater experience.
Me too. Same here. Right? I love it.
Like,
love it.
That's kind of what I modeled my living room after, bro. Because it's like I had to chasing that movie theater experience. I had to get a fucking big ass TV and a fucking sound system, bro. And it still ain't gonna be enough, dog. Like Dune, right? Dune is supposed to come out. I'm watching that in the theater. It's gonna be on HBO Max. I could watch it for free. I'm gonna go, even if I gotta go by myself, which I most likely will, because it's such a niche movie. But I'm never gonna say goodbye to movie theaters, right? I just love the feeling of getting out and accomplishing something, like driving and, you feel me, paying, and then you get your ticket and then you see the fucking the previews, and then the movie theater, the lights dim, and now you're like, okay, bum. Maybe because I'm from that era where, you feel me, like the movie theater was the spot, I still have that kind of attachment to it, where it's like, before you were old enough to do anything, if you want to do something, you know, you go to the movie theater. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's facts.
You feel me? You know, that's where you hung at. That's where you got a reason to get away for 2 or 3 hours, right? And even as an adult, like that big screen, that just seeing it, like seeing the director's intent, like 100%, I'm not going to say no to that. But I am 1,000% in the minority, bro. I know that.
No, I mean, it's crazy. Like, people have now, like, I was watching this documentary on Netflix, for example. It's called The Last Blockbuster. I don't know if you've seen it.
I'm going to watch it. Yeah.
It's actually pretty interesting. It's based on, you know, the last blockbuster in Oregon, and like this blockbuster mom and yada, yada, yada. But it's pretty good. But watching that documentary brought me back to a time where going to rent movie, like, bro, that's a novelty experience now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, there was a time you would go to the Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, whatever video store was by you, and you grab a bunch of movies and then you'd watch it with your family because we didn't have access to streaming like we do now. And it made me think about the movie theater. And much like you, Herb, like that's an experience like bro, I've like some of my most favorite movies I watched in theater. The Dark Knight I watched in theater. Inception. Fucking Star Wars Attack of the Clones. I watched that with my dad as a kid. Like, there's so many memories, there's so many moments that I can date back to my life. You know, I done got freaky in the movie theater. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so like, I just can't imagine a world where people don't take their kids to the movies anymore, bro. Like, I just feel
it's
like
coming,
and it is. I know,
and this is where I want to have the conversation about what this is why I appreciate what WB is doing, and I'm not, you feel me? Spoiler alert, paying Rabio, but I'd rather pay the extra $4 or whatever, right? Because they're not gonna charge me to watch a movie that's premiering. Like with Disney and Disney Plus, it's like they charging $30 for Mulan.
Bro, what kind of hearsay is that, bro?
And people are going for it. And I get it. Everybody makes the argument, oh, imagine going to the movies, especially if you got a family. It's like 8 tickets. Oh, you gotta buy popcorn, blah, 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 blah. The whole point of the movie theater is that experience. Now, yes, you're saving money, but you're also giving in to a business model that is already shown on a different platform that they don't need to do. They don't need to charge you to put it on this. You feel me? They don't need to. Like, they're not losing that much money because they don't have to pay that licensing fee to the movie theaters, bro. They're just trying to see if they could get over on you. Like,
which they definitely have on many people.
And you're falling for it. Like, I get it. You got if you got kids and you have a family, I still disagree with it, but I understand 1,000%, bro. Because hey, listen, if this gets this fucking kid to shut the fuck up, bro, I'll pay $100 happily, right?
Right. At the end of the day, parents, if there's anything parents want, it's peace and quiet. Yeah.
If you're the person who doesn't have a kid and you're paying $30 for Ray and the Last Dragon or Mulan, yes, like Ross said, you're a fucking mark, bro. Like, and like right now, right? I don't know if you're pulling up, but we're gonna have another movie night, Kong versus Godzilla. That's just HBO Max instantly. Not paying for it, doesn't what's it call it? It just comes on HBO Max, right? Coming to America 2. The second,
I'm down to watch that.
Yeah, right. So I don't have to pay for that. I didn't have to pay for the Snyder Cut. People who watch Wonder Woman, I didn't. They didn't have to pay for Wonder Woman 84. It just came on. So when I see Disney Plus, which doesn't even have that many good movies coming out,
right?
Like to
be
even
charging $30 fucking dollars.
Like, man, what would you rather spend $30 on before Wonder Woman? Before you know how bad it was, Mulan or Wonder Woman 84, Snyder Cut or Ray and the Last Dragon.
Come on, man.
King Kong or whatever the fuck Disney Plus has up in stores, right? So this idea, the product that you're putting out is not worth it. It's already insulting that you're doing it in the first place, bro.
Right.
And enough people bought Mulan that they could do it again with this other movie. So I don't know. Listen, I just know I'm not paying for something if I'm already paying for it, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why can't people understand that? Like, people have to stand for something at some point.
People don't understand, bro.
Like, you have to, bro.
As a consumer, you have power.
Yes.
And when you have power, you wield it. It forces everybody to fucking bend the knee. That's a Game of Thrones reference, right?
Bro, if hardly anybody bought that fucking Mulan movie, you think they'd try that shit again?
Hell no.
No, they'd be like, oh, nah, fuck it. We're not getting the revenue stream from people actually watching this shit because they don't want to pay for it.
Exactly.
But because you got, I mean, look, I can't knock the nigga who has 3 kids screaming in his ear all the time. He might be like, you know what, fuck, man, let me just put this Mulan on.
Actually, bro, like, it's, to me, I don't even think that. Like, these kids don't even know the fuck Mulan. You know what? I take it back. Parents, shut the fuck up, all right? Shut the fuck up, all right? Because now I just realized you could put Paw Patrol on or whatever, dog. They don't fucking know 2 from 2. Hey, get the fuck out of here. You could have fucking PJ Masks on and be like, ooh, that's Mulan. That's Mulan. They be like, ooh, Mulan. Yeah, bro. You just wanted to do it. You wanted the excuse to spend that fucking money, bro. Don't use your fucking kids in this and that. Don't do that.
Hell no.
Don't do that. Now I think about it, bro. These kids don't give a damn. Hey, they don't know what's what.
They
Like,
don't, man. And you out here paying 30. Listen, I come from the era of pirates, man. You feel me?
and it's never been easier to get anything because everything's already online.
Right.
Like, you know, our website, right?
Yep.
On that bitch, perfect quality, bro, because it's already online. It's already on the service, bro. We are a far away from you getting a $5 DVD and you don't know what you're about to get. What kind of Russian roulette you playing, bro?
I remember, bro, you know the neighbors on Sunrise, bro?
Yeah.
There was this dude. My mom used to go out there, and my dad, back when we lived in Lauderhill, they used to go out there. This nigga used to sell bootlegs out of his trunk, bro. Dude, there's so many times, bro. Batman Begins. I watched that movie a bunch of times on that bootleg. Didn't even know that I was missing like 20 minutes of the movie. Had no idea, bro. Until I was watching the movie one day and I was seeing a scene. The movie had cut out the flashback where Bruce goes back and tries to shoot Joe Chill, and Joe Chill gets killed. And it skipped like all that. So I'm watching, I'm like, what Batman is this, bro? Like, bro, I went years without knowing that, bro. Imagine, because I watched that fucking bootleg, and of course, those of us from the bootleg era, you remember you would see shadows passing by.
Shadows. Bro, I remember I had got me one bootleg, right? And, and here's the crazy part. This is how fucked up the bootleg was, right? The bootleg man gave me a discount. He was like, hey, honestly, I'm going to just charge you $3 for this, right? And as soon as I cranked that bitch on, I knew why, bro. Nigga with a big ass fro was covering majority of the screen the whole movie, bro. Because he sat there, he didn't have to get up, and it's just like, come on, dog. The whole bottom half of the movie, I couldn't watch the shit, bro.
Bootleg era, baby.
But yeah, we don't have to do that no more. Just be savvy. Like, everything's connected. You can mirror your phone into your TV now, bro. Like, just be savvy.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many ways to get around that $30. Bro, nobody has to pay for any of this shit, bro. It's all online.
Right.
Like, I don't have to have this Disney Plus. I pay for Disney Plus. I don't have to. Everything that's on Disney Plus, I can watch for free.
Fine, right.
I can find it, bro.
If we want to.
If you really want to, dog. I just do it for the convenience, bro. That's it.
That's what you're paying for. The convenience.
And I don't even watch it. It's the crazy part, dog. Like, so to me, that what Disney's trying to do with having people pay $30, nah, fuck that. It's never going to replace a movie theater experience for me.
No.
As long as there's a movie that I feel has to be seen on the big screen, like this would have been perfect in movie theaters if I watched Snyder Cut in movie theaters.
Oh yeah,
it would have been amazing to see this on actual.
I'm gonna be
IMAX.
honest. I doubt they would do it now. But if they ever just said, "Hey, we're gonna release this in theaters like a special time only," I'm doing it.
I'm probably gonna do it too. I'm not probably. I'm going to watch it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
It deserves that. It's epic enough for that.
For sure. All right. So, any last things before we go ahead and close up shop?
Man, I can't believe how much I enjoyed the movie, Herb. And I went into it wanting to hate it. And usually when you do that, you find the things that
Same.
Zack Snyder, I tip my cap to you, you fucking motherfucker.
I had to tip my cap too. Trust me. If you could check my history, check my social media, I've been critical of this guy for years, going all the way back to Man of Steel, right? And just halfway through the movie, like, it really hit me with the Steppenwolf fight when he fought the Amazonians and shit, right? I'm like, fuck, this nigga made a good movie, man. God damn it. It hit me that quick. I'm just like, yeah, I got to give it to him, bro. Like, and there's one thing about me, bro. I will always give respect when respect is due. If you put good product out there, I'm going to watch it. And if he would have been just better, like Dustin, just in a little quick note, our homeboy Dustin, if he listening to it, perfect, right? He said it best. If the guy just had a godlike editor who could fix his jumbled mess, you feel me, in a right time constraint, everything would have been different, bro. But again, this goes back, and with anybody who's listening, everybody is at fault for this debacle. WB, because they're fucking idiots, and Zach, because he's still flawed as a director. That all led to this, right? This win doesn't vindicate him. It just explains his decisions. And this definitely doesn't make WB look as bad, but it does because they made a bunch of other mistakes, right? And now they're at a place where they have nothing to do. They have nowhere to go. When they have so much more to tell. And that is the biggest indictment, right? So, hey, it's going to be a what could have been.
It's going to be interesting to see exactly what like, where are they going to take their next step? Like, are they going to beg for Zach to come back? Are they going to?
I'm pretty sure because I'm pretty sure, but he says he's done. And the thing is, what are you going to do without, like, how much money are you going to have to throw at Ben Affleck, bro?
To get him back on
board. Get him to come back, bro. Because it's not going to make sense. Like, if he's not on board, what the fuck you going to do? Put somebody else? Like, that nigga is not Ron Howard, bro. Like, he's not whatever his name is, bro. Fucking,
Hellboy?
No, bro. The fucking guy from, yeah, you're right. That's my bad. The guy from fucking, the first War Machine.
Oh, Terrence Howard?
Yeah, this ain't Terrence Howard, bro. You could just get that nigga about to paint out like it's nothing, bro.
Right.
Imagine doing an Iron Man movie and you swapping out Robert Downey Jr., bro. That's what Ben Affleck has become to this universe, bro. It's going to look ridiculous, bro. So, yeah, I don't know what they do, bro.
Yeah, it's going to be funny. It's going to be an interesting ride, for better or for worse, man.
All right, man. All right, so see you guys next week or for the next review. I mean, whatever we do, we might as well, if we're gonna watch fucking Godzilla versus Kong,
King
might as well review that too. Shit, fuck it.
Fuck it, why not?
All right, bro.